Hello, I'm Anthony Giarrusso. If I ran for the state governor position here in the state of Florida, I would ban speeding tickets and speed cameras, which violate people's privacy. And as I approve my Freedom of Travel Act, you will have more freedom of civil liberty, and the police will also have more time and be more focused on capturing real criminals rather than civil offenders. Speaking of civil stuff, I will make it illegal for the police or any state government agency, because I have that authority over the state government, if I became governor, and that would mean that you would have to vote for me to become governor, so keep that in mind, is that there will be no civil forfeiture allowed within the state of Florida, specifically of vehicles. And this will include, yes, passenger cars, non-passenger cars, trucks, flatbeds, tow trucks, all the whole shebang, okay? It's also going to include ATVs, off-road bikes, motorcycles, boats. None of those can be seized through civil asset forfeiture or any kind of civil forfeiture here in the state of Florida. From my opinion, I view that as a criminal action done by the government against its people, and that's not what the government is for. We're supposed to do positive things for the people and be as transparent as we literally can be. That is the whole theory behind the government in the first place. You gotta remember, inanimate objects cannot commit a crime. Okay? And this gets into a very, very Republican statement right here by me. Also in my Freedom of Travel Act, you will be allowed to carry your firearms or any weapon of your choosing. It could be a scythe. It could be nunchucks, whatever, okay? All weapons are allowed to be displayed in your vehicle without you having to wrap it in a towel or put it in the glove box. Now, you can put it in the glove box if you'd like, but your weapon is your property, and it's your way of defending yourself and your family. You deserve to be able to openly show that show of force without using force, right? Show of force for civilians, not just the police. And a lot of police do agree with me on this. Civilians should have the right of show of force so that they're not, or less likely to be, attacked by random strangers, especially when they're traveling through the state of Florida. Remember, if I'm governor of Florida and then you get screwed over in Georgia, right, that's not my fault, that's your fault. The only way I can protect you is if you're traveling within the state of Florida as governor. So keep that in mind. But I do think that's very important, especially to reduce the likeliness that you will be harmed when you have your weapon on you. Weapons seen visibly by police within a car cabin can't be taken by police. That's true freedom of travel. Also, if your weapon cannot be stored inside of your vehicle because you have an ATV, or maybe it doesn't fit in your motorcycle bag, you'll be able to have it showing if you put it on your rack that you might have on the back of the motorcycle, if there's no ammunition in it, and if it's a type of weapon that doesn't use a projectile, well, put it wherever you like as long as it doesn't hurt you in any way or anyone else in any way. You gotta remember, I do trust weapons owners to be responsible, and if they're not responsible, that's their fault, not mine. Alright, moving on. Now that we have established that irresponsible weapons owners are not my fault, let's talk about something else. All highway speed limits will be completely nullified. Completely nullified. That is true freedom. Because the road, with its beautiful blue sky and beautiful green scenery, you should be able to drive your vehicle on this at your leisure. Think about it, right? Imagine you are driving your Mustang or maybe your Camaro, and you want to drive, maybe you figure, 120 miles an hour is a good speed for you to drive that vehicle at. You should be able to have the right to do so. Right? If you crash off, right, it's not my fault. You're the one who crashed. If you crash into other people, again, you're the one who has to literally pay, most likely through your insurance company, for that other person's vehicle you crash into. But you gotta remember, most people don't crash at high speeds. And it's utterly ridiculous to think that we can't drive our vehicles over 70 miles an hour. Even in the rain, almost all modern vehicles, literally from the 90s all the way up through the 2020s, and even more modern stuff, can handle the rain at relatively high speeds without losing grip because they've got so much mechanical grip. Most highway accidents happen because people slow down in the rain, and because you're not producing enough centrifugal force, which is pretty much the easiest way to explain this is, the faster you go, the more stable you are. Because you have that lack of centrifugal force, and your mechanical grip is not the highest at 45 or 50 miles an hour in the rain, that's where you get more spin-offs. So you actually have to go faster to reduce the likeliness of a high-speed car crash in the rain, in theory. Now, there's other factors. If you go really fast, like 200 miles an hour, you're going to want to have a lot of aerodynamic grip. And if you don't have enough grip, then you're not going to be able to drive safely at that speed because your vehicle doesn't have the aerodynamics or the downforce to keep that vehicle on the road. But most cars don't do 200 miles an hour. A lot of them do like 110 or more. So why not drive your vehicle at 110 miles an hour, unless if you want to save some gas? Right? And there's a lot of people, this will be a part of the infrastructure problem, because when you drive too slow, you lose time, and you make more money at work. So speed limits on the highway are literally very, very impractical. And also, for trucks, yes, I've already thought of this, okay? Commercial trucks. Many companies use these really slow, ugly, boring, and not very fuel efficient vehicles. Well, that's okay, because these companies will just drive at their leisure. They'll probably be driving maybe between 55 and 70 miles an hour in the slow lane anyway, and highways have multiple lanes to overtake those trucks. And even if a truck is traveling at 90 miles an hour with a full load, it's going to save more time. It might cost a little bit more in fuel, but companies are going to have to decide, do they want to be more efficient, more speed, pay more for gasoline because then they make more revenue because they increase speed and increase efficiency, or they might just want to be the same. That's absolutely fine. That'll be up to the business owners of those trucks. But this gives an opportunity for other companies to do better and faster business, because increasing speed increases time, increases business transactions in theory. And because when you infringe on people's freedoms of being able to use a vehicle for the road that is road legal, not to its full potential, is literally a crime by the government, which is anti-people of Florida, anti-American, and very, very negative coming from the government. We should have freedom. And guess what? Since we know that it's safe, we should have that freedom. And even if it wasn't safe. So a quick point I want to put in. We all have to stay home because of the coronavirus, but then very, very few people die there. But then there's all these car wrecks that could kill people, and we don't make people stay home because there's car wrecks on the road. The point is, we shouldn't have people staying at home. We should not have people in fear like many people on the Democrat side want. We shouldn't live in a world where the government is so greedy that it has to scare its citizens to make money.